Did I singe my fucking beard with this thing? Oh, no way. All right, so you saw the thumbnail. Cooking with nuclear power, how does that work? Okay, well, so the main piece of this Stokes Voltaic Nomad kit is this piece right here. It's called the Reactor. And this little machine right here is what's going to produce all the power, connect to the pots and pans, and make everything work. Now, nuclear, you know, maybe not. But truthfully, I am hooked up to a grid in North Carolina that does get its power from a nuclear facility. So technically, okay, but before I get started, you know, there was in the comment section last week on that last video, there was a lot of haters, I mean concerned citizens, that had a lot of questions, so I figured I would address real fast. A lot of them thought there's no conceivable way you could have power, you know, in a campsite or out in the woods or anything like that. So what we're going to use today to power these is, this is called a solar generator. They've been out for several years now. Essentially, they're a bunch of smaller cell batteries that are put together. You can charge them from your house, your car. You can plug them into a solar generator. And what they do is they bring electricity to the campsite with you. So that's going to basically solve a lot of the concerns those fellas had about, you know, how do you do them at a campsite? How do you do them out in the bush? Things like that. On top of that, there are probably about 3 million campsites in America that have RV, what they call shore power, that you're able to rent, and then you can plug stuff right into the plug right in the campsite. So between those two items, you know, there should be a portion of the population who will be able to enjoy these electric cooking pots. All right, so let's talk about this reactor first. I got her all plugged in, and she is on, and it is in standby mode. I don't know if my frame rates or any of that stuff is going to let me show you any of these things, but right now it's in standby mode. So then it's going to be in standby mode, completely safe. Nothing, it's not hot, it's no electricity, no power's coming out of it whatsoever. All right, until you put a pan on it. Then what it does is it kicks in, and it's in 200 watts. It's in 400 watts, 600 watts, 800 watts, or 1,000. I can just take it right off. You heard the beep. This went right back into standby mode. And even though I just had that on there running all kinds of power through it, you know, not even a problem at all. All right, the first piece we're going to talk about is this right here. It is called the bubbling pot. Now, it's a standard, you know, boiling pot. It is a non-stick Teflon lining. Their recommendations on this are 1 liter, 34 ounces of water. I think you can see the fill on in there. You know, fill and cook as you will. You know, do to your own caution anyway. What I'm going to do is, though, I'm going to throw this one on here at first. And I am going to run through the wattages here, and I'm going to use a little thermal laser, and we're going to figure out, you know, right about what heat is it running at these wattages. So let's take a peek at that. Okay, comfortably into 200 watt mode on this pot, and we are looking at 105 degrees Fahrenheit. 200 watts. Over here on the machine, I'm at 163 watts of draw. Now I'm going to pump her up to 4 bills. All right, 400 watts. We are looking at 190 degrees on here, and we are flickering back and forth between 170 and 470 watts on the EcoFlow. Let's go to 6. All right, 600 watts. Let's see here, and we are 190. Well, there's a spot 220, 230. Around the edges is that one spot up tall. Right in the middle, 235, right down dead on the middle. We are looking at 512 watts pulling right now at 600. Now what this does is it ends up cycling back and forth. It's at 200, it's at 500 something, it's at 200, it's at 500 something. Just to maintain, you know, the level heat of that. So let's pump her up one more time. We got 800 watts. All right, 600 watts down, I'm sorry, 800 watts. We are looking at inside the pan, right in the middle of the pan, 280. Out to the edges, gets 320-ish, something like that. And we are, you know, fluctuate back and forth between 300 and about 780 watts on the EcoFlow. Onto a G, 1,000 watts. Alrighty, 1,000 watts on the machine. Really only 890 on the machine, so 900. It just clicked off here. It goes through cycles where it shuts down, comes back up a little bit. Let's see here. Let's see, 303-ish in the middle, 345 around the edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some water in this thing up to the lip right here. Like I said, 1 liter, 34 ounces it's calling for. Mind you, my water is about 40 something degrees here. So I'm going to put it on 1,000 watts, and we're going to fill this to the lip. Right, before we get this thing boiling, I want to talk about something else. We're going to do a boil test on it too. Stokes Voltaic. They make this Nomad set right here. They also make a unit like this called the Joule. Now this is more of a jet boil style, you know, camping boiler, if you will. Still electric. This unit right here is only going to be 500 watts completely total. So this one here has a drink setting, an eat setting, and a setting I'm going to surprise you with right at the end here. But the way this unit works right here is, like I said, the whole thing is only 500 watts. If you go on drink setting, it's going to set it at 212, and it's basically going to come up and hold 212 for you. Now the eat mode starts out at 240 watts and goes anywhere up to 500 watts. And so what it does, it sort of cycles between 500 and back down to 240 and back up to 500. So that you're supposed to be able to cook stuff in here, you know, like you can't with a jet boiler. That thing just gets so hot, you boil some water. If you've ever tried to cook in it, it sticks food to the sides, things get real kind of crusty in there. So this one at least cycles down, like I said, does 240 watts. You're able to cook up a pot of soup, or, you know, a can of soup, or anything like that that you used to be worried about it sticking to the side. But anyways, so I'm going to put some water in this one too, and we're going to get it tested right along the side of this one. Okay, we've got our timer started. We've got our timer ready, and everything is full of water right up to the fill lines. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this one on. Oh, come on. We're going to roll her to 1,000 watts. We're going to turn this one on. We're going to put her in drink mode, and we're going to press start. And I will get back to you in just a second when one of these starts to boil. We'll talk about it. Okay, so coming up on the 3-minute mark here. Now I'm starting to get a little bubbles on the bottom, but if you see, I can still stick my pinky in there pretty good. This one, that's about the same. You could still hold your finger in there for a few seconds. 3 minutes. Okay, so just passing over, we're at 420 right now. And this pot right here is making that noise like, hey, I'm getting ready to boil. The bottom is completely covered in bubbles. It's starting to make that churny sound. This one right here, micro bubbles that it's actually starting to release too. At this point, you could still get your finger in that one a second. And we're not really going to put our finger in that one. Let's see what this says here. 153, 155 degrees, 160 degrees. So we'll keep going. Okay, 840. So we're just coming up on 9. This one is fully rolling. And this one was actually rolling really good just a second ago. I think it's cycled back off. So like 9 minutes, this one's fully rolling, and this one was actually pretty close to rolling. So interesting, what this one done is it's gotten up to 212. Yep, 210 showing right now. So what it did was it got up to 212, this little portable one, and then it shut itself off. So that is how that one works. I've seen the literature on eat mode, and eat mode is supposed to cycle between 240 and 500. But this one, no problem, just under 9 minutes, boiling real well. So what we're gonna do while we have this pot boiling with hot water is, I'm gonna go ahead and make a little lunch while we talk about some of the other stuff. Just a little 3 ounces of spaghetti. I'm gonna toss it right in there at the edge. Let that keep cooking along. So with this Joule, what we're gonna do is we're gonna unhook it from the power here. And then let's talk about the little lid that comes with this. So the Jewel lid has a drinking spout on it, and it has a drain spout on it in case you were, you know, cooking some ramen in here, cooking macaroni and cheese noodles, something smaller in there like that. Lid fits on snug. Now it is kind of a rubbery scenario, so it doesn't feel great. Some of the reviews on this were that the lid did flop off a lot. So this water right here, so if you notice, it actually is leaking itself right out from underneath this lip right here. Let's see if I can adjust that to, let's not have it go in that port right there. All right, so put this up there and try this again. Check this out. Okay, so, oh, see, so what it's doing is dripping right there. So that thing right here is gonna burn the hell out of your lip at some point. So I don't know, Stokes, this might be an issue. Let's take it off and let's see how it pours with the lid off, you know. Okay, so if you're just pouring it, you're fine. I think if you're trying to drink out of this little mouthpiece right here, I would think again about that. I don't really trust this mouthpiece here. I got just enough water in here to see what comes out of this. Let's try the strainer. All right, so the strainer does the same thing. They all leak. Let's pull this down. Let's see if I can get a tighter snug. In fairness, I pulled the sleeve down, so we're only contacting with this. And let's pour out of it like we were gonna drink it. All right, so she's a little better that way. But no, this one right again starts dripping off from underneath here. So that's gonna be a problem. Anytime you're trying to use these drinks right here, it pours from underneath this lip right here. So something to think about while you're draining. If you ever plan to use this as just straight up brewing yourself a little coffee, and which is the crazy thing about this is they sell a unit, a variance of this that has this like a little stirring stick. This part hooks to a coffee press and there's a lid in the top. So you can make this a coffee press. Now, if you were just to go press your coffee and start drinking out of this lid right here, you'd destroyed your chin, burnt out down your chest and everything like that. So the Jewel is not something you're gonna make a drink out of and then drink right out of it. You know, people complained about this lid that it was floppy and things like that. And all right, so we're completely empty right now. You know, that lid, it doesn't stay on for crap, so that's going to be the thing about this. Now, other uses it still has. You could use it as a little cooking pot. If you weren't planning on making any kind of drinks or using this lid anyways, get rid of that, trash. If you were just thinking about making food in this and things, it may still be a viable option. We'll find that out here in just a second. Let's check on these noodles. I mean, this is working great. Here's one of the things, we're boiling, full roll boiling right here. The thing about this system here is, I've got the base, I've got this pot, and I got a second pot, but like I said, I've only got one base. So, I would hope Voltaic would make a secondary base, so maybe I could have two things going at the same time. Maybe they make a full set that's got, you know, double bases, something like that. But this one's gonna work out fine anyways, because we can just take our macaroni here and we can set it off to the side. All right, so let me get this out of the way I made with my little Ignite Mountain Off, if you're listening. I mean, that thing's making real hot water. It's real nice. Okay, so this is boiling along. Let's talk about a few things about this itself, you know. What are we looking at? We're looking at just about over 9 inches wide for this pot here. Now the pot itself is about 4 inches tall, but it doesn't go all the way down in there. I'll put this down in there. It only goes about 3 inches deep. And then the water fill line is really only at about 1.5 inches high on that. I would say altogether, 2 pots, and this thing weighs 7 pounds. They're probably about 3 pounds a piece. Even though this one's kind of a different shape, it's still very hefty. That includes the lid. So 7 pounds for the whole unit combined. So one of the things that's an accessory that comes with it is this pot handle. And this is great. It's got a couple settings on it. We'll go through this right now, where you're completely open mode. You can see it's wide open there, right? So put it on the pot and you go all the way shut. That's lock mode. And that's on there, you know, that's on there real tight. Let's look at it over here with this little pot. Put it in lock mode and that sucker's on there. Actually, oh, it came out of, so here's what happened. It came out of lock mode. It's in unlock mode, but it's not in release mode. So it's still in there. You know, lock mode was crazy grippy, but I bumped it into unlock mode. It still doesn't drop your pan. So then there's a little button right here. You push that, it opens all the way up. See that again, lock mode, unlock mode, and then push the button and that pops open. So that's how you're gonna pick these pots up like this. So check this out. Okay, we're clearly boiling inside of there, right? I mean, that is clearly boiling. Look at that. So what it is the polyplastic that this bottom is made out of is 30% glass fiber. So it combats the heat huge. And like I said, I mean, so if you got kids running around, you know, I got this up here in my hand. It's not warm in the slightest. Now this pan is hot all around here in the gray part, but from this orange line all the way down, that's not a trick. There's nothing under there. I'm holding this pot. Beauty, right? So you could take that off, set it right on the counter, release your little handle, grab the next pot you want on. This is turned off. So it's not just running like crazy and running up all your battery and running all the battery out of your RV and just doing whatever it's doing, drawing power. This thing's turned off completely now. But as soon as I set this pot back on it, she kicked right back in, and we're gonna start frying. We're gonna actually cut this down to about 400 degrees right there though. And you know, similar to the last pan right there, or almost exactly the same, just under 9 inches. So now this frying pan right here is only gonna be about 2 inches deep. All right, so I ended up jacking this bad boy up to 800 anyways. We're gonna cook a little lunch, see what kind of frying power it got. You know, you wanna be able, oh. There you go, we're sizzling. Let me get a temp on the edges around this thing right here. She close to 400 degrees right now. 320-ish in the center, right around the edges, right about 400 degrees. So I'm gonna toss a little ground beef in there. You can hear it sizzling good. Like I said, she's beauty, non-stick surface, sliding around real nice. Using a little wood in it just to be sure. I'm gonna throw a little garlic, a little diced green pepper, a little minced onion inside of there also. All right, so about 2.5, 3 minutes in, all the hamburger's looking nice and brown. We're gonna add, so what I'm gonna do is, because we're just gonna start adding some ingredients now, we don't really need to saute it as hard as we are been, I am gonna bump that down to 400 degrees this time. And I'm gonna add a little red wine to it, gotta have it. And then, you know, what I do for my spice flavor is, what I have is a little bit of Italian kind of Parmesan herb. It's like a crunch mix. Usually make garlic toast with it, stuff like that, cook a little spaghetti, things like that. Just a little bit is all you need, really. Between the infused oils and the spices in there, it adds a little kick in there. And then, let's get that stirred around a little bit. So we need some tomatoes in this, yeah, right? That's going to be real easy. So what we're going to do, San Marzano certified tomatoes. We're just going to get a couple of those. There's only really one way to do this. Put a glove on and squeeze it. The bottom end is going to have the base of it's going to be a little tougher, so I squeeze down at that end. Just let it slide between my fingers a tad. About 3 fat tomatoes in there. And then we're going to take just a little bit of the sauce. The good thing about this Cento sauce, these tomatoes I use, is it's in its own tomato paste instead of being a sauce. So you see, you already start with a thicker scenario than if you're using like crushed tomatoes in their own juice, something like that. All right, so we get that all mixed in. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop this, pull it to unlock mode, hit the button, pops it right off. Gonna set it right in this other pot down here. Now we get to use this lid. This is where this lid comes into play. So you notice the lid's got a little slot right here. That's gonna slot in right where the handle on this thing is, right? So that's gonna leave you right across from it your drainage. So we're just gonna drain this. I'm just gonna drain it right behind me here. Actually gonna leave just a little bit of the pasta water on there. It'll help thicken this up. Now, so what I do is I really only par cook my noodles. See that hot pan? I just set it right on the countertop. Release that, put it back on here. So like I said, I really only par cook my noodles and then I mix them in with my sauce. And that little bit of starchy pasta water and the pasta itself mixed back inside of here will help thicken your sauce, pull in any of that little wetness that you got going on down there, and really help bring it together. Let's grab a plate, take a look, see how something cooked in, you know, nuclear power tastes. All right, so got some spaghetti. Looks beautiful. Meat sauce, everything, all in these 2 little pots and pans on this little electric setup right here. Coming right off of this EcoFlow situation. What I'm gonna do while I get ready to eat some of this is, we're gonna set this up one last time. Some things I wanted to mention about this. So the way this plugs in is these cords are extremely long. I'm running a really short one right here. It's actually from a monitor I have, just so I had better close quarters on this table. But the cable that came with this is actually like 5 feet long. So there's plenty of space for it. Not a problem like those cords I had on those last ones. But anyway, so this is that like computer monitor, pretty standard. I mean, to be honest, it's the same one that charges this. If I take only one cord with me, I can run this and I could take it off and I could charge this off my truck or where have you at the same time. But like I said, just one of those easy cords. We're gonna throw this back in there. We're gonna turn it on. And we're gonna put it in popcorn mode. That's right, this thing has a popcorn mode. So, popcorn mode action. I got a little popcorn here. Oops. The bag is torn a bit. A little seed. You know, I carry one that goes over a fire with me, usually on camping. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I'm gonna throw just a tad of oil in the bottom of this. All right, and then we're gonna throw a little bit of popcorn in there. I don't want to get too much, go crazy. And I'm gonna put the lid on this one because they give you this rod right here. And with this rod, you can throw it in there, and anytime you're cooking whatever you're cooking, you want to stir it, you just give her a little stir around like that with this. So let's give that a few seconds, see if it starts going. And I'm gonna be honest with you, just the size of this and how nicely everything's cooled down, you know, it's, like I said, it's not completely handleable by the side, but one of the crazy things is this right here. I mean, that's hot spaghetti right there. This stuff is You know, this is 180 degree spaghetti. And I can touch this, I can touch that. Set it right down here on the table. If you had rubber fork, or maybe you had some wooden utensils or sporks or something like that, and you wanted to eat right out of this container, I wouldn't really be mad at you. Myself, we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna take the handle, secure as it is. We're gonna get a little bit of spaghetti on our plate while being careful not to scratch the bottom of this thing. Let's get some of that meat up there. All right, let's get it back. See if we got any action on our popcorn yet. Nope, nothing going on in there yet. She's on. She's in pop mode. Okay, so pop mode is supposed to come on at like 140 watts, and then it goes from 375 degrees to about 440 degrees in order to get this popcorn popped here. We're not moving yet. It's getting warm inside there, so let's see. Let's put the lid back on. All right, so let's talk about it. I made this whole pot of spaghetti, boiled noodles, made spaghetti. We made us a hot drink up inside this thing right here, and we're starting to make popcorn as we speak. Sheet. Reset it. It had gone into cool down. So it's really only taking 50 watts right now. I'm in pop mode. It's getting hot inside there, so let's see what happens. Let's give it a few more seconds. Let's have a little spaghetti. Wait for this. Make us to some dessert. Now, you know, not everybody wants to go out camping and maybe bust out some spaghetti, you know, cheap ramen noodles, things like that. You know, a lot of people just don't eat like that when they're out camping. Me, I like to be able to use a couple pots. I like to try to eat at the same quality that I eat at home, you know, if not better. You know, like I said in the comment section of the last video, some people were concerned where, hey, they're such a buff, manly man that they only can cook on, you know, wood and charcoal and things like that. And, you know, like I explained in the beginning of this video, I just cooked on nuclear power. Beat that, tough guy. Oh, speaking of beat that, listen what I hear. Uh-oh, check this out. Uh-oh, hear it? We got poppage, so let's give it a little, start stirring it a little bit. And stirring the inside of this one's not an issue. Like I said, this is 304 stainless on the inside of this. Just to show you what a battle it was to cook on these out here in this temperature I'm at. This spaghetti you just watched me pour out of that pot a few minutes ago, it's ice cold. It's still really good though. Hey, we're popping along right along over here. Let's give it a stir. Let's see if we can peek in there and see how many kernels are left without popping us in the eye. Let's take it off. Uh-oh. Oh. So we're popping corn in there, bub. So before it's even done, I'm gonna add some of this butter in there. So this will be a test. Will it scorch this butter? Does the popcorn setting gonna scorch my butter? Or will it help pop some of these kernels and butter my popcorn at the same time? Tell you what, it didn't like when I opened this lid though. I mean, that's good to know. If you're gonna be out in the cold, you know, some of the reason you might use electric like this is because you're not willing to run out there and start up fires and get everything going and then run back in. Well, let's see if we can get some. All right, so let's talk like we did in the last video. Let's talk use case scenarios. Clearly, we're just on a picnic table, you know, outside right now. We got a power box. It's not going to be a problem. At a campsite with shore power over there, I'm able to plug into. Shouldn't be a problem. If you're in an RV, usually you're going to stay in places that have shore power, or maybe you have inverters on your RV good enough to where you're running a generator out back, or you're plugged into shore power, and then again, it's not going to be an issue at all. You could use this stuff in a dorm room. You know, I had high hopes for this one, and it actually turns out I like the other one. The cheap version of this turned out to be it might have turned out to be a better deal. But anyways, you could use these in a dorm. You could take these in your luggage and be able to cook in a hotel room. Takeaway on Stokes Voltaic. This Nomad set with the reactor, the sizzle pan, the bubble pot, it's a great set. I can't say enough. It's been really great. Heated up really fast. It was, you know, whispering on my box over here and still provided plenty of power. It's extra cold out here, so it did well on that. You know, it cleans up. Used it once before. It cleans up very nice. You do want to be careful. Now, obviously, this part here is where your electronics are taking place. So you don't want to submerge this, get it all crazy. But, you know, out camping, you can do a lot of stuff with just a little spritz of water and a napkin and things like that anyways, you know what I mean? So that's really all you want to do with those. Get them wet a little bit. I've used a little bit of a sprayer next to it. You just want to be careful not to, you know, get too much going on in this backside for cleanup. As far as storage, I mean, this is the box it came in. It's a pretty compact box. Now, you noticed I didn't mention any sort of a bag and anything like that. This stuff stacks up. The thing about it is this stuff all stacks together real nice and gets, you know, gets pretty small for you to carry it. That's not a whole lot of profile with that there. No bag. You know, Stokes, Voltaic, whatever the company's called, Stokes Voltaic. Get us a little satchel, a drawstring satchel that we can put this inside of. That would be great. Takeaways on this. She has now turned itself off. I guess there's popcorn in here. Let's see. Let's see what it looks like. Let's unplug it. Dumped out the popcorn. Still a whole bunch of kernels in there. It's got a little blackened looking situation to it. Let's try this. Let's melt this butter. We'll get some salt. Okay. And then, well, I know I had a little salt with me. A little pinch of salt on this. All right, the spaghetti from the first pot. Ice cold and delicious. The drink from the Jewel. Heated up fast. Still hot and delicious. The popcorn from the Jewel. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's ugly, but it's not brutal. All right, there it is. Stokes Voltaic Jewel and Nomad set. Electric cooking, portable style, you know. right up here in this corner is the video I shot last week of a little more budget-friendly version of this set. Some things worked great, some things didn't work so good. You'll see the swaps back and forth between that set and this set. On Sunday, the 29th of December, I am world premiering a brand new product from Bouge RV. That's going to be something that, you know, gets back to the core of outdoor cooking and something the charcoal gas guys can sink their teeth into just a little bit more. But it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie.